everyone. Welcome to the Hello Ramadan show. In celebration of Ramadan, a month of self reflection and self improvement, we will be sharing some easy habits that you can practice at home so you can be a step closer to becoming 1% better every day. If you have been wanting to cultivate a daily reading habit, then this is the show for you. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Cheng Sim, and I'm a writer from HHWT Malaysia. As part of our 1% Better Everyday Challenge, we will be sharing this session with none other than Mr. Ibrahim Tahir, the founder of Wardah Books, a bookstore located near Masjid Sultan in Singapore. Without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Ibrahim. Hello, Mr. Ibrahim. How are you?
Hello, nice to be with you.
Yes. It's so great to see you, and thank you so much for joining us at Hello Ramadan. Before we begin, I'm sure our audience would love to know more about you. So, can you please introduce yourself and share a bit about Wardah Books to our audience?
Sure. My name is Ibrahim Tahir. I am a bookseller and I run Wardah Books. Wardah Books was established in 2002 right here in Singapore. And over the years, we have expanded into a fully fledged independent bookstore in Kampong Glam. The heart of our mission at Wardah Books is reading promotion, getting more people to read. And so this aligns very well with what Have Halal Will Travel is doing with the 1% Everyday Challenge.
Okay, I'm pretty sure some book lovers dream of owning a bookstore, and Mr. Ibrahim, you are living the dream. So perhaps you can share what's your favorite part about running a bookstore in Singapore?
Well, the best part about running a bookstore is putting books in people's hands. Sometimes people wander into the bookstore not looking for anything, but then they chance upon a book and then there's this instant connection. And because of the way the light reflects off the page, people's faces light up when they open a book. It's a wonderful sight, and I will never tire of it. But sure, running a bookstore is a wonderful profession, but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I understand there's a lot of hard work that goes into running a bookstore too. But I have a question actually that I wanting to ask you. So how many books do you have in your bookstore? And as a bookstore owner, do you have a personal goal of reading every single one of them?
We have about 10,000 copies of books in the shop, and we have about 2,000 titles from over 500 publishers. A lot of people underestimate how many books we actually have. But I can tell you that we have a lot of books for a relatively small store. I tend to stock books that I like, so there's a level of curation there. So yes, I definitely want to read the books that I stock. For all books that come in, I do what Mortimer Adler says to do. Mortimer Adler wrote the book, How to Read a Book. He said there's a kind of reading called inspectional reading. It's a kind of reading where you quickly evaluate a book and place it within the range of the subject field. And I do this for all the books that come in. And I need to do this because I need to know, first of all, how to categorize a book. And I need to know how to recommend this to specific readers. And for books, so I do this for all books, this inspectional reading. And for books that I really like and the books that I pick up from the inspectional reading, I will then go away and read it slowly, or again, as Mortimer Adler terms it, analytical reading. But I prefer the term deep reading because that's what we do. So I don't read all the books deeply. I inspect all the books, but then I go in and read the books that I like.
Yeah, I can only imagine seeing 10,000 books, and to think about reading all of them, I think it's going to take years and years for me personally also. But before you share tips on how to cultivate a daily reading habit, which is what we're trying to do today, as part of our 1% Better Everyday Challenge, maybe we can learn more about your personal reading habits first. Like, how many books do you read in a week? And would you consider yourself a speed reader or someone who likes to read at their own pace?
Well, let's first get that out of the way. I don't like the term speed reading because the emphasis is misplaced. Having said that, I'm a very slow reader. I read slowly, purposefully, and I intentionally slow down. When you are reading, you have to pay attention to words, obviously. Uh, you have to pay attention to terminologies, to complex, layered ideas. So this all takes time to unpack. So the way I do this is by taking fleeting notes as I read. I have a little notebook with me that I jot down key points, and I use my own words to make sense of what I've read. And then I quickly go back to the book. So this helps me pay attention. And I usually read non-fiction in the morning or during the day, and I read fiction at night before going to bed. So twice a day. Reading is a journey into yourself. The reader reads in solitude, away from distractions, and is it in solitude that the reader connects with the author.
Okay, so reading more is something that we wish that we can practice every day. So why do you think reading is important for us to become 1% better every day?
Reading can do much more than 1%, but let's keep the target of 1%. The key is to make reading a habit. We shouldn't think of it as a hobby or just something you do when you have spare time. No one has spare time. Reading is a habit you have to cultivate on a daily basis, every day. The benefits to the individual is enormous. Reading is like a gymnasium of the mind. The mind needs daily exercise. And apart from that, reading habituates us to truth and beauty. And what do I mean by that? The truth is something we all seek as human beings, and reading helps us in this seeking. And on the other side of the coin is beauty. Witnessing the beauty of language, of an elegant idea, of a meditation. This is all habituating ourselves to a beauty that is beyond visual and beyond the physical. So this is all of immense importance for humanity in this day, when truth has been cynically sidelined and beauty is regarded as something only skin deep. So imagine what society would be like if it was composed of readers who are habituated to truth and beauty. We can't all set the world to right. Uh, we can't solve all the problems, climate change, the pandemic, inequality. All this makes us cynical and resigned, and we feel powerless. But we can recover some of this agency by reading and putting one foot forward, one by one, and moving towards this truth and beauty as I spoke about. So yes, absolutely, 1% every day. Read every day. Read for at least 45 minutes to an hour each day. You have to invest the time.
That's true. I feel it's important for us to invest some time in reading also. Um, in your personal opinion, why do you think some people find it hard to get into the habit of reading?
We live in the attention economy. Every media platform is vying for eyeballs. You open up Facebook or Instagram, and the next thing you know, an hour has passed. Instagram has held your attention for an hour, uh, subconsciously, and it has done so without even you knowing. This to me is not technically attention, but rather distraction. So, attention implies that you are intentionally committing to something worthwhile, while distraction is the opposite. So, in order to read, we have to remove distraction. And you do this by reading physical books, and write your notes in a physical notebook with a pen. Resist the temptation of sharing what you read on social media immediately as you read it. So keep the phone away. Distractions, interruptions, notifications are all enemies of deep reading and of deep thought. So if you read on a device or on a screen, you will be pulled away to something else within minutes, if not seconds, because of all the notifications and all the things that are pulling at you. Um, and also, when you're reading on the screen, there's all these hyperlinks. So there's all these things that pull you away. The definitions you need to look out for. There's something you need to refer online. So all these things take you away from the text. and ultimately it takes away your attention. So devices and screens are attention dispersion machines. In contrast, the physical book is a focusing machine. So we need to choose wisely.
That's actually the perfect segue to our next question because it's true that the current generation is spending a lot of time on social media. It could be like Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, which indirectly influences their reading habits. So, social media may provide a wealth of information because we do seek information online as well. But why do you think books should still be considered as a window of knowledge?
Well, the more time you spend on social media, the less time you have for life and for doing things that are worthwhile. There's a tagline that I always use in the shop, and customers will be very familiar with it. And this is: the secret gift of reading is time. Let me say that again. The secret gift of reading is time. Reading gives you time. You have time for yourself, to be with yourself, to be with your own thoughts. Nothing is being pushed to you by an algorithm or fed to you by a social media feed. You are by yourself, and you have the space to explore your own mind uninterrupted. This is something very precious. Yes, reading is a window to knowledge, as you said, but it's also a window to the self, a window to truth, and a window to beauty. And this is a precious thing.
Some people like myself actually we prefer to buy and read ebooks because we can easily read them from our phones and iPad. And I understand that it's true like what you say because you get notifications things like that. But what are your thoughts on using technology to cultivate a reading habit, such as like reading ebooks from iPad and Kindle or listening to audiobooks?
Yeah, this whole digital versus print issue. A lot of people get a bit nostalgic when they talk about books. They say that they like the smell of books, they like the tactile feel of the books. These are all valid, but I think is missing the point, because physical books do much more than that, than an object of nostalgia. The media theorist, Marshall McLuhan, famously said that the medium is the message. Now, what does he mean by this? The medium of the book, not the content of the book, the medium of the book is the thing that cultivates us in a particular way. McLuhan cites the example of the light bulb. The light bulb is pure medium. There's no content with the bulb. The bulb is not trying to tell you anything. It's a pure medium. Yet it changed the world in profound ways. And it's the same with the book. If we don't think about the content of the book for a minute, we just look at the structure that the book imposes as a medium. The book molds us to pay attention, to stay still for hours, to listen to the narration of another person, withholding judgment and comment until that person finishes explaining his point. The book trains us to follow abstract ideas and to arrange those ideas in a logical sequence. And as I said before, the book is an attention machine. So this is what the medium of the book does, and this is how it molds us. It teaches us to be attentive and to be present. Screen devices, however, are dispersion or distraction machines. We are trained to click on hyperlinks, to look up definitions, to copy and paste for later, to screenshot and share. Remember, we are talking about the medium, we're not talking about the content. So the medium is training you in a certain way, training you to be in a certain way. So this is a very different paradigm, and one that is not conducive to deep reading. Um, so I mean, it's not just me saying. Study after study have shown that comprehension, retention, and even enjoyment of text diminishes when people read through devices. It's as simple as that. The technology and the experience of the book is irreplaceable because the ability of books to provide an environment with minimal distraction and maximum intellectual participation on the part of the reader is something unique to books. And that's why it continues to be relevant.
Okay. Actually, I've also discovered something interesting about Wardah Books. So your bookstore organizes a virtual gathering called a Silent Online Book Club. where people can come together online and read in silence for an hour. So can you share with us how this idea come about, and does reading in a group actually encourage people to read more?
Book clubs are not a new idea. For centuries, people have been coming together to read, and there are benefits to reading communally, certainly. Human beings are deeply social. If anything, the past year with COVID has underscored that point. Anyway, we have a book club, a regular book club that meets once in 5 weeks. This is a traditional book club where everyone reads the same book, and at the end of reading the reading session, we come together to discuss that book. So that's one book club that we have. The other book club is the silent online book club, as you mentioned. So a few months ago, I was speaking with a librarian based in Egypt, and she said that one of the most successful reading initiatives was a silent book club where people would come to the library and silently read together for an hour. This is pre-COVID. After that, they would socialize and have dinner or something, all at the library. So I decided to adapt the idea for online. So this is how the silent online book club was born. So every Sunday morning, people come, log in, and they commit to an hour of reading a book, any book that they happen to be reading. So the point is that you have to make the commitment. The commitment. So we provide this space for people to come and for people to commit themselves to that hour of reading on Sunday. Preferably they read every day, but we provide the structure for that hour on Sunday morning.
That's true. Because I also believe that reading in silence actually encourages mindfulness, and it also helps to increase concentration. But some people also find it difficult to get some quiet time to read after a long day. For example, if someone's a parent who is busy taking care of their kids, or someone who's always busy at work. So, do you have any tips on how people can actually find some quiet time to read?
There was a survey done in 2019 by the Straits Times here in Singapore, and the survey was on media consumption among the general public. And the survey found that people were spending, on average, per day, over 2 hours watching videos or TV shows per day. So, and this is across the board. Somehow people are not too busy to watch shows. So it's not a matter of people not having time. It is whether people spend their time wisely and to prioritize the time. So you have to schedule your day and you have to schedule your reading. That's all there is to it. If you realize how important reading is to mind, body, and soul, then you will have to schedule the time. And that's all you have to do.
Okay. So besides scheduling some time to read, what are some of the steps that you recommend for people who really want to start reading every day?
Uh, Build the habit. Start small. So start with maybe 45 minutes in the evening before bed. Anything less than 45 minutes, you're not really getting into the text because you need to tune into the text and you need to tune off from all the other distractions that you've had all day. So 45 minutes is about just right. Um, and gradually add in more time at the start of your day, perhaps. So read in a place or in an environment that is conducive, is free from distraction. Don't underestimate the don't underestimate how affected you can be by distraction, and don't overestimate your own ability to manage distraction. Manage your environment to facilitate reading. So those two things, gradually start reading at least 45 minutes and then build up, and then ensure that your environment is conducive to reading.
I feel it's also important for kids to develop their love and passion for reading at a young age. So, what are the best ways to introduce a reading habit to our children?
Children need to see their parents or caregivers reading. Children need to know that reading is as much an adult activity as it is a childhood activity. So that's one. The second is to read to children. Read aloud to them every day. Again, the scientific evidence showing the benefit of this is too much to list down. Everything from emotional resilience, better test scores at school, higher levels of empathy, higher levels of confidence, high levels of group cooperation. All these can be traced to parents reading aloud to children at a very young age. So there's so many knock-on effects to reading to children way before they enter preschool, and even before we think they understand what we're saying. Because reading aloud is part and parcel of language acquisition.
I also love the selection of children's books at Wardah Books. And at the same time, I also discovered another interesting thing about Wardah Books. So every year, your bookstore will release like an annual list called Wardah Books of the Year, and it's based on reader's choice. So last year, your readers chose Secrets of Divine Love by A. Hawa. So, Mr. Ibrahim, have you read the book, and why do you think your readers enjoy it so much?
We have two types of lists that we do annually. One is the Reader's Choice Award, as you say, and this is a vote. And as you say, Secrets of Divine Love won by a landslide. But we also have another list. It's a list of books that the booksellers, select. And of course, the Secrets of Divine Love is in that list as well. Um, so, Secret of Divine Love is an absolute recommendation for me. And I know the author Helwa, and I know that she sincerely and very generously cares for her readers. And people have reached out to her, and she has joined us for several online sessions. So she's a very generous writer, and she gives her time in that way. So it's definitely a strong recommendation for me. Is our reader's choice for good reason, and it's a book that circles back to the two things that I've been talking about, and I keep mentioning, is truth and beauty. And this book has it in spades. She talks about the truth of the inner dimension of Islam, and her language that she uses is beautiful. So go read the book.
But personally, in your opinion, do you think there's another book that deserves the top spot?
Secret of the Divine Love was the reader's choice, so it won the popular vote by a landslide. So no other book deserves the top spot in that sense. It's a good book and it will benefit many people. But if I want to reframe your question, maybe what maybe the question could be, what in my opinion is the most important book published in 2020. Yeah? Now that's a different question, and you will get a different answer. To my mind, the answer is clear. It is Traveling Home by Abdul Hakim Murad. Uh, it will take too much time to go over why I think it's the most important book published in 2020, but I will say this. It will change the way we as Muslims see ourselves in this period of late modernity. Yeah. This period characterized by polarities of extremes. So, Traveling Home is a profound paradigm shifting book, and it is something that everyone should do well to read. It's not an easy book, but as Mortimer Adler says, if we don't read difficult book, if we don't attempt difficult books, we will never uh, step up. So, Traveling Home by Abdul Hakim Murad is to me the most important book in 2020.
Okay, and I really hope that our audience will actually pick up the book after the show. So before we wrap things up, I have one last question. So to kickstart our reading habit this Ramadan, do you have any books to recommend? That's perfect for the holy month of Ramadan.
Uh, okay, I don't do well with recommendations because people are so diverse. When people come to the shop and they ask me for recommendation, I always turn it back to them. So mainly, my what I normally tell people is read what your heart is inclined to. And this could be anything. If you're reading The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, read it and see the truth and beauty of the human condition in moments of adversity. In her case, during World War II, during the Nazi pogroms. If it is Gilead by Marian Robinson, then see the truth and beauty of life, of meditation, and of service. If it is Purification of the Heart by Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, then see the truth and beauty of Islamic psychology and its technology of self improvement that has been with us for thousands of years. And if you read Destiny Disrupted by Tamim Ansari, then see the truth and beauty of how Islamic history has unfolded over the centuries, spreading from Andalusia to Aceh. So there's really no limit or no fixed recommendation for me. Read what your heart is inclined to and seek the truth and beauty within what you read.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim, for sharing some tips on how to cultivate a daily reading habit and even sharing like recommended books that we should pick up this Ramadan. I learned a lot from you today, and I'm sure our audience will feel the same way, Mr. Ibrahim. So I hope you enjoy your Ramadan and Eid this year, and hopefully we can meet again
Inshallah.
soon.
Inshallah. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Right. Thank you for watching our Hello Ramadan show. So don't forget to check out our immersive virtual event called Hello Ramadan 2021. So remember to visit helloramadan.com and take part in our virtual bazaar, join our daily challenges, watch more shows, and win amazing staycations and dining vouchers from our grand draw. I'm Cheng Si from HWT Malaysia. See you soon. Bye.